I'm gonna get so much hate for this video. Hello everybody, I'm Ben. I am a cinematographer, camera guy, VFX guy, editor, etc. from upstate New York. I am working my best to make this into an educational series where I rant and rave about a variety of different things, hopefully most of them educational for your filmmaking journey. This one is a little bit unusual because it pertains more to the artistic side of the creation process and less to the filmmaking side of the process. I'm hoping to have information for both of you on here, but if it sounds like I'm more talking to like the graphic design crowd, which by the way I'm also a part of, you're right. This comes up a lot more in the graphic design forums that I'm a part of, and a lot less in the filmmaking side of things. But it does pertain to filmmaking, especially when we're looking at the dreaded AI video epidemic. So I'm going to be going over a variety of things in this video. I want to explain the AI hype as best I can. I want to offset your fears about AI, the nightmare of all the things that could possibly happen to you in your career because of AI. They're all not true, but it's easy for me to say that, and so I want to kind of break it down and help you better understand why it's not gonna be taking your job anytime soon. It'll just change how your job looks for the better. So bear with me. I know that mostly this is gonna probably paint me as the bad guy. I'm one of those AI apologists that just is like, oh no, AI is the future. Again, I know I'm gonna get hate for this. People aren't going to listen. There's gonna be storms in the comment sections. I've already been through this rigmarole on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else. So it's people that aren't going to learn or don't want to learn are never going to learn. And I know that they're very fond of saying the same thing about me. So again, like, I would really like to explain my position in detail here and help you understand. I'm not just some like new wave, like, oh, it's the latest tech, so you got to use it. It's a very realistic look at the technology, the inefficiencies of it, and what it really is. So first of all, this will be kind of like the part one. We're addressing the Terminator Effect. That's a term that I made up, by the way. So that's a me original. So if I start seeing it around, I'll know you stole it from me. Don't be a art thief. Remember, that's a big no-no. But the Terminator Effect, of course, we've all seen Terminator, and it's the story of a rogue AI that ends up ending all of humanity. There's time travel. There's evil machines that disguise themselves as humans. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Terminator. We're here to talk about the Terminator Effect, and that is the fear of a technology outlearning, outperforming humans, and then destroying our businesses, our careers, our artistic creativity and passion, and us being soulless, lifeless husks as the machines step past our dead bodies to create the next wave of art, whatever, without our input and without our consent, I guess is the best way of putting it. So to address the Terminator Effect and why this rampant fear is completely unwarranted, we have to understand AI technology. And it is difficult for me, I've found, to explain AI tech because either I dumb it down too much and people get the wrong ideas from the metaphors and examples I use, or I get too technical with the answer and the response I then get is, well, I guess I'm just too old to understand this stuff. This coming from like 35-year-olds. Come on, guys. Come on. Really? But I do admit, like, I grew up with a very like technical background. Like I grew up with technology, with computers. My grandfather worked for the robotics department at Lockheed Martin, and I've always aspired to be like him. But we did have computers and code well before the average individual would have. So growing up in that world, I do see things from a lot more of a electronic or technical perspective. So where is this Terminator Effect originating? It is originating from artists causing panic. Now stop and think about what I just said for a minute. Artists causing panic, not the AI, the artists causing panic. Namely, a number of very significant liars on the internet. And they created all this hype. This is the chain with these people. They will create this hype where they say, AI stole my art. And then they will show an example of their art, and they will show an example of something AI created that resembles their artwork. And they will say, clearly the AI was trained on my art, that is stealing or has stolen my art. And because of this, AI is evil, AI is bad. It has taken my creativity and has created this horrifying abomination that roughly resembles my work. And they will now fall into one of two camps. Either look how ugly it has made my art, or boo-hoo, if it can create the same art that I do, I am now obsolete. can't you guys please scare off this evil robot before it kills me? First of all, those posts I know are made up, or are made by an artist that doesn't even remotely understand how AI works. So instead of just saying that, let me show you an example. There's a post, and I'm going to put it up on screen, and I am going to name the artist because they made a big public noise about it, so you guys can go and see this post. So yes, I'm calling them a liar straight up. But there have been others in the past that did exactly the same thing. On the one side, you see the original artwork piece created by the artist. On the other side, you see an AI impression. In this post, they actually even include the prompts that they used to arrive at an equivalency of their artwork. Now, recently it was found that Meta had used a ton of user content to train their AI. And a lot of people were saying, well, that's illegal, that's theft, whatever. When you sign up for Facebook or Instagram, you are explicitly giving them permission to use anything you post for whatever they want to do with it. You have no legal grounds to claim any kind of defense, and anybody telling you otherwise is either trying to sell you something or is lying to you. Okay, so what we see with the post here, on the left side we see the original, on the right side we see allegedly an AI created version of this. How AI works, to give a brief overview, and this is the dumb version, is it takes a lot of noise and a lot of randomness, and from that randomness it tries to establish a picture. You can use the prompts to coach it in a specific direction to get the results to look more like you want. You can write a prompt such as blue sky, and it will try to create a blue sky out of the noise you presented it. You can write a prompt like man or woman, and it will try from that noise to guess what might be a man or a woman in this noise profile. Now, if you're thinking about this in a logical way, you would probably come to the conclusion of, well, hold on a second. If it's coming from completely random nonsense, how are we arriving at artwork that is so close and so identical to the artist? And the answer is, it isn't. It is being, in additional steps, coached to look just like that person's artwork. And how you do that is not by using noise, but by taking the original image, giving the original image to AI, and then putting your prompts over top of the original. I will demonstrate this later on at the end of the video, where you can simply take a photo and convert that photo into an AI version of that photo. So the artist is lying. What happens when you take the image and you place it underneath the AI prompts? Now when the AI is being prompted, whatever your prompts are, it's not looking in random noise anymore for your image. It is specifically looking in a pre-existing image for the words you are telling it to provide, and then effectively kind of sketching over top of your picture to create a new picture. That is what this artist has done, and then lied to you about this being some kind of original AI concept. When I say the AI cannot produce an identical copy of someone else's artwork, I am saying that literally. There is no way, not in the billions and billions of random permutations inside of this code, that it could arrive at an identical copy of whatever this image is. It does not matter what it was trained on. It does not matter what it was looking at. Okay, it cannot arrive at this kind of symmetry. This is exactly the same as a post we saw way back in like the early 2020s when AI tech was first emerging, where an artist did exactly the same thing. They put their own artwork into an AI, used the AI to sketch over top of it, and then claimed AI had stolen their idea, which was a lie. It is a sort of sideways slanted lie. I don't know how better to say that. It is a lie where there's a bit of truth. AI did in fact create the image, but it was after they had pushed the AI as hard as they could on the human side to look exactly like a specific image. And then they went out and they shook it in the streets and said, hey, everybody, look what this horrifying monstrosity has done. It's stolen my work. On the technical side of stealing work, because this comes up a lot, I wonder if I can bookmark this point because this is a really important one. But here we are. Listen to this. When an AI is trained, it is observing patterns inside of an image. If you show it a picture of an apple and you tell it apple, the AI tries to gather as much data from that picture of an apple as it can. When the training is done, that original picture of an apple is taken away, and now the AI is again presented with a noise profile and told, guess where the apple is. The AI has learned things like there's a lot of red in an apple. There's a sort of pointy bit at the top that might be the apple's stem. The apple has a roughly round shape to it, and the AI will guess that from the noise. It will be a bad guess. It is then given a score or a yes/no answer. Is this an apple? Yes, no. And from that, each time it gets a yes, it gets smarter, and each time it gets a no, it gets smarter, until it is creating a fair approximation of what an apple ought to look like. Drink break. I'm not sponsored by Rockstar, but I should be. Now, people might say, well, can't you just keep training it over and over and over on this one particular picture until it is guaranteed to give you, from that noise, an identical copy of that apple? And the answer is no, and here is why. The way AI saves data is through a series of tiny little packets of information that tell it more and more about what the apple is made of. Again, we had simple concepts such as red or stem or circular. However, the more we train it, the more it starts to see this image as an absolute concept down to pixels. So it might say literally a red pixel must be next to a blue pixel because there's red and blue in the image. It might say there's this squiggly line in the corner, therefore the image must be full of squiggly lines. And as we overtrain, and that's the official term, the actual term, overtraining, as we overtrain the AI, the image rapidly devolves back into noise as it tries to apply too many concepts at once and ends up with this horrible mess. So there is this midpoint where it looks close enough to the apple that we say, yes, it's an apple. It is not the original apple by a long shot, but it is a close approximation, close enough that we can comfortably say to the AI, good job, you have an apple. Now, obviously we would want to do this with many, many different images, so it gets a better and better grasp and concept of what an apple might look like over a plethora of different objects. But now you can see very clearly why it can't reproduce a specific thing. Even if I were to train it on all the art I've ever made and then put in Ben's style, it might pick up some of my nuances, some of the ways that I draw pictures, some of the ways that I create video or movies, but it could not replicate one-to-one a shot that I have produced unless I give it my original picture to hold on to. And that's the biggest thing here. When Meta is training an AI on your images, when Meta is borrowing art from the open web, it is not stealing that art because it is open source art. What it is doing is looking at publicly available images and information, which anytime you post anything on the internet, by the way, it becomes public, whether you like it or not. It becomes public. AI is trained off of it, and then the images are gotten rid of forever. The AI doesn't have a backup of your pictures hidden somewhere inside of itself. It only has a data set that has learned from there. And it is rough concepts. Again, like apple equals circular red thing, not this specific Van Gogh painting is a specific Van Gogh painting. Starry Nights is not a concept to it. Swirls of color are a concept to it. So it can create swirls of color. It can imitate the brush strokes. It can get really good at knowing what details to include and what details to not include. But it will never be a perfect replica. Never. It can't physically do that. Even if we were to train it to an absolute point where it is one of the best guessers on the planet, because we are providing it with a raw noise template to guess from, the noise alone will coach it in a direction where it will be different than the source material, if only at a macroscopic level. We've seen things like humans having too many fingers. Fingers contain a ridiculous number of digits. It has to remember each separate joint point and how each of them folds only one direction and different things like that. That's why it's so bad at hands, or used to be. We now have prompts specifically to get over the hand hurdle. We're training it to be smarter. But again, we needed a whole separate data set just to get hands correct. This is not smart technology. AI as a artificial intelligence is a myth. It's not intelligent. It's a machine that we are teaching. Here is a pattern. Here's another pattern. Combine these billions of patterns together to create a result that we have called a close enough approximation to be correct. Whatever it is we're trying to produce, whether it be a picture of a person or an apple. When people go on the internet and lie and say that the AI is stealing their art, or that it will replace you, or that someday your job will be... No. It is all a lie, it's all a fabrication, and it is an unknowledgeable fabrication from people unwilling to actually look at this technology. What can AI do well? It can guess really good. I've used it extensively for creating mood boards, I guess is the best way of thinking of it. Kind of a general color concept. I'll put in prompts like moody atmospheric mountain range when I'm working on my Viking films, and it will give me an idea kind of like the layout. It'll show me maybe 3 mountains, and I can say, okay, that's a cool idea. I like the 3 off in the distance here. It's very cinematic. I don't use the AI image after that. I go and I find 3 mountains to shoot, and then I composite them in After Effects. It's basically, for people that don't use After Effects, it's kind of like photoshopping extra mountains in, but for video. So in that way, I can use AI to kind of guide my artistic process to help me more quickly come up with concepts and ideas. Could I have come up with those 3 mountains on my own? Sure. But being able to see it there on the screen before I spend the time and money to go get these shots is invaluable. That's a good use of the tool. Another way we can use it is to cut down on tedious labor. There's the AI roto brush inside of After Effects, which assists in the masking process. That's always been like the biggest nightmare a VFX artist can come up against, is the endless time spent rotoscoping complex shapes by hand. And it's been by hand, my gosh, for so many years. And I've always said, why can't we just computerize this? Now we can with machine learning very easily. So now we have the AI roto brush. That again is just guessing from the noise. Is this something he wants to keep? Yes or no? And because it is so good at guessing what is supposed to be there and what is not supposed to be there, it is a very, very helpful tool now. Now we'll address AI video, and I'm going to show an example because I think it's okay to show. This is an AI music video, and I think it's actually really cool. My friend sent me this. It uses this weird, almost photorealistic AI, and most people would look at this and say, wow, this actually looks fairly realistic. Obviously, the longer you stare at it, the more clear it is that it's AI. AI is not good at things like pores on human beings, so the humans are always very deathly smooth, like as if you're wearing too much makeup almost. Again, you can't just look for extra fingers. That's a thing of the past. AI is very good at doing fingers now. It's not so good at skin. I think that'll be the next step, is creating cell textures so that it can start to fill that in. But for now, not so much. You'll also notice that the movements of the characters are a little bit unnatural, or they're abnormally still for the scene. Because of this, it's not as effective. We can't coach the actor. We can create the actor, but we can't coach them or have them move like a real actor would. So people that are worried, oh, it's going to replace actors. No, it's not. No more than the CGI background extras that we've had since the dawn of time. You can do that in Blender these days. Ian Hubert has a tutorial on how to do entire massive crowds, photorealistic crowds, in 4 minutes in Blender. And that's an old tutorial too. I'm sure it's even faster now. So no, you're not losing out to AI any more than you've lost out to CGI or Blender or Unreal. And I don't see any hate towards those guys, just saying. The big thrust of this is that any job that can be effectively replaced by AI, in other words, concept art to some degree, non-critical graphic design, or a foundational graphic design, the businesses that don't really require any work, sorry guys, it doesn't require any work, anyone can do this, those industries are going away, because any dumb machine can perform the same tasks that you are performing. You're not special, you're not a skilled laborer, you're not even a skilled artist if AI can imitate and create concepts equal to what you could create. That's ridiculous. Why would you think that some random sketch would be valuable to somebody? The people that are complaining the most tend to be the least talented artists. The people that know that these machines can do the bare minimum just like they're doing the bare minimum, except the machines aren't demanding to be paid $50 a drawing for something that I could do in 5 minutes. So yes, those jobs are very much at risk, but they've always been at risk. They're at risk to any human being that is better at their job. Companies would only hire these kinds of people as a convenience, or if they had an excess of budget, or if the person is really good at marketing themselves and lying about themselves. So anybody that can be replaced by AI, or any company that is just using AI for these pictures, deserves exactly what they get, which is the bare minimum, the least amount of effort, the least amount of energy, and the least effective result. Hopefully I've explained in a comprehensive way why AI is the way it is, why it works, why it's not the Terminator, and more or less why these people are creating this hype and this fear. It isn't due to any actual realistic fear. They're just trying to build this terror so that other people will try to tear down the machine before these people are exposed to the frauds they really are. Useless hacks that just want to do the bare minimum and get all the praise and acclamation. I want to take a moment, just a quick moment, and then we are going to go over to the AI machine and look at it ourselves. But I want to take a moment to talk about art for the sake of creating. This might be a long moment. Art is a beautiful way to express yourself. Art is an innate thing that we do, that once we get done work, once we come home, once we take off our hats, or in my case, I never take off the hat. This is glued to my head. But once we start to go into relaxation mode, art is what we do to unwind, to create, to express ourselves, and make new ideas and concepts, provide something fun, entertaining, and enjoyable to the world, much like I do with these videos. I'm not sponsored. YouTube doesn't pay me for these. I make these because I enjoy making them, and I like having educational content that people can learn from. When people try to monetize art, it stops being art. I'm waiting for you guys to go down to the comments and hate on me a bit. So whenever you're done, I'll be right here. All set? Okay, cool. Let me explain my position a bit better. When you are creating art, you should not expect to be paid for it. You create art to create art. If people love it and respect it and want to provide you the ability to create more of your art, if they are entertained by it, now you're providing a service. Now your joy and your energy and your ability are forming a functional product that other people are willing to consume and purchase. It is purely at the will of the consumer. You are not owed this for your art. Your art is always just your expression and your creativity. And if people gain no value from it, they should not pay for it. They will not pay for it, and you will receive no profit. You are not owed anything as an artist. That's really important. Okay, when I make my movies, when I make my films, it is ludicrous to expect people to come and see my movie just because I made it. I will never pressure a friend to come to my film to give me good reviews just because I made the film. If there is merit to it, if there's something good to it, please come see my film. Please read my graphic novel. Please read whatever it is or do whatever it is that I'm creating because you love it and you enjoy it. But if I am not providing you a lovable, enjoyable experience, you owe me nothing. It does not matter how much time or effort or energy I put into it. My art is merely art, not a product. And if it becomes a product to you because you enjoy it, you are free to purchase it or free to give me a 5-star rating, whatever it is you do to provide value back. I've encountered so many pretentious artists that just think that they are, by the nature of their own expertise or ability, owed millions and millions of dollars, owed your view. You do not deserve them unless you are paying them all this money for how fantastic and fabulous they are. Where are you guys coming from with this? My gosh, guys. You are owed nothing. Your art is what matters. Make your art. AI cannot prevent you from creating something amazing and fantastic. And if AI paints a better picture than you, who cares? The AI then is the product, and you aren't. You aren't supposed to be creating your art just for money. And if you are creating it just for money, that's not what art is meant for. You are creating a product now. You're just an employee, churning out what you think is creativity for a paycheck. That's not art, that's a product. And when you want to make a product, now you are beholden to industry standards, you are beholden to the customer's standards, and you must only create the things that they want to pay for. If they don't want to pay for it, then you are creating art for yourself. And if you are not creating art for yourself, and also not for the customer, you are creating art for no one. You are just another machine. Now we're going to jump over to the actual AI generator that I've been promising this entire time. I use what's called Stable Diffusion. Stable Diffusion is a desktop app that requires a lot of Python code to run. And it creates images based solely on prompts. Now, I'm also going to show you how I can take a picture of my own and use AI to modify that picture. We're going to learn together how AI works. You're going to see firsthand how a real AI generator is working behind the scenes. When you go to one of those online prompts, all it's doing is connecting you to something like what I have set up on my desktop, and then the website or the designer is doing the work for you in real time. Granted, it's all automated. I'm going to do it manually so you can kind of see what's going on here. Hopefully you find this interesting, and I'm open to comments afterwards. So let's head on over and check this out. Welcome to Stable Diffusion. This is the AI machine that backs a lot of things out there. There are others, including some fancier ones and some paid services too, but this is the free one that you can just slap in here. And so we're going to do some prompts here. I'm going to tell it mountain range with trees. So these are a lot of really complicated settings, but they more or less control what type of algorithm we're using to create the noise and then the guesswork. All these forms and functions follow that. Sampling steps just tells it how many times to bake. Again, if we go too high, like I said in the video, it will start to look like mush. If we go too low, it won't give us a good result. Now, I'm a photographer, so I'm going to go ahead and set these settings to a wider width because I know that that works better for scenery. We're going to hit generate. The image has to be a smaller image size for the reason of it can't parse on my small GPU bigger images. So here we've got a pretty good mountain range scenery. Honestly, this is a really good result. Now the mountains don't look great. If you look real close, they're a good approximation, but they're too flat, they're too smooth. We're going to capture that seed. So now it's going to keep using the same seed. So we'll get roughly the same image. As long as I don't change the prompts, it'll always kind of look like this. So I'm going to turn on what's called a high-res fix. What this will do is it will take this image, it'll generate it once, and then from that image, it will generate another image of a higher quality, using this as the fundamental background. So like I was saying before, we take the noise, we break that noise down into an image. Once the image is there, we can use the image itself as noise to create a new image. So here we go. This process does take a very long time. Keep in mind, I have a top of the line computer. So the fact that this is going so slow should tell you about the normal user experience for AI. It takes decades if you don't have a great GPU setup. All right, we're done. And as you can see, it has done a great job cleaning up the mountains to some degree. They're a little bit better. I'm going to full screen this. You can still see that it's almost a painting. It's too smooth. The details aren't quite right. So we can do things like let's add realistic. And we can now use what are also called negative prompts, so things we don't want to see in the image. So we're going to go with painting, because painting is what gives us that very smooth, gross look. Here we've got a new image, and you can immediately see just by changing the prompt, everything has changed. Everything has moved. This is why it is impossible to result in the same image, because I'm using the same noise seed. It's the same noise, but because I changed a single word in the prompt, or 2 words rather, we have a completely different image. Roughly the same. The mountains are kind of in the same spot. The tree is kind of in the same spot, but the trees are different. The tree line is different. The mountain shape is different. Everything has changed. Let's go ahead and upsample that. There we go. Look how pretty that is. Now, again, it is just an approximation, but we're getting better at almost photoreal. This is good enough that I could use it as a distant backdrop in one of my Photoshop projects or After Effects projects, and people wouldn't really think twice about it. But they've got good clouds here, they've got good trees here, everything's fan-freaking-tastic. So this is how AI works. You can just slap prompts in it all day long. You can generate images similar to this one. If I change the seed back to a random seed, -1, by the way, just means absolute random. It will be a different number every single time, up into the billions. You can never get the same result twice. And here we go again. Again, it seems to always put the close tree on the left and the mountain range in the background. I'm going to see if that's consistent if we continue to throw noise at it. Now we have a centered mountain range with trees on both sides. So it is truly random each time we generate this. Well, now that we're talking about Uncanny Valley, what the frick is this? He has got the whitest chin and the closest eyes I've ever seen in my life. The eye color also doesn't match. But as you can quickly see, like, we get a good approximation, but as you look closer and closer at it, it becomes increasingly clear something ain't right. I don't know what happened to him. He seems to be part cyborg. I didn't tell it to do that. It just made him part machine, I guess, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so this is kind of what AI looks like in the background. Not exactly the terrifying super art machine. You'll notice that it is all guesswork. And now I've put in an image of myself. We're just going to tell it to cartoonify me. It doesn't really understand there's a human here. It doesn't understand that I'm here. It's just going to think this is all just random chaos, random gobbledygook. This, when artists are lying to you, by the way, this is what they're actually doing to their art. They are just taking one picture, feeding it manually into AI as the noise profile, and something else will come out on the other end. As you can see, it's similar, and the pose is in the correct area, but that's not me. It's very Asian looking. Let's try to fix that up a little bit by negating some of this. So we'll change it down to 0.5. Well, I don't really know what's happening to me. This is definitely becoming something. But as you can see, compare this result to the result we saw from the alleged artist on the internet. You can see pretty clearly what happened with her art. She took her own photo, put it into an AI generator, and had the AI create some kind of abomination off of it. And then she complained about the abomination she'd created. Disingenuous, unfair to the AI machine, and also a gross exaggeration of what AI is capable of. Now that you can more clearly see how this works, hopefully you understand a little bit better what this technology actually entails and how useless it is to a true artist, how little it can actually contribute. It is a minute time-saving device, nothing more. It's not sentient, it is not a Terminator, it is not a deadly robot coming for your job. Nor will it be in the future, no matter how smart it gets, no matter how powerful it becomes. It will never ever threaten you in the way that everybody is trying to tell you it will. So if you are an artist, if you are a film creator, calm yourself down, take a moment, realize this tool is no different than the CGI that came up in the freaking 1990s. Didn't kill your job then either, just changed it. That's all this will do, is change the job field and make things more simplified in a way. Also, it will mean the death of all those fake artists that are only doing this for their own self-aggrandizement and are trying to charge $300 for a piece of graphic art design that I could do in 2 minutes in my spare time. You don't deserve the money because you don't provide a useful skill anymore. Sorry, you're going to have to actually get good at your job to beat out the very, very stupid, very minimal, procedurally generated machines, which, when you put it that way, hopefully you're a bit more embarrassed about exactly how low on the totem pole you are if an AI can truly threaten your job. I know there are other aspects I didn't address, like the chat GPT, like the writing ones. I'm not as qualified to speak on those. I know that they run off the same algorithms and the same systems, so all the things I said should still apply to those. I just haven't personally used those to create or modify my written documents. So I'm not going to speak about those, but understand that the same principles that run the visual AI machines also run these AI machines, the writing ones, the text ones, any of them. They're all prompt based. Now you understand what a prompt is. Now you understand how AI assembles it. And now you understand that because AI uses noise, pure noise, to create a specific image or likeness, it can never truly copy your art, even if it has only learned off of your art. It can't do it. It will never rival you. You are always going to be the better artist. Stop being scared of it. It's okay. Calm down. I'm Ben. I'm a cinematographer from upstate New York. Thank you for checking out my channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I always forget to say that, and I'm supposed to say it at the beginning of the video, not the end, but today it's on the end of the video. Go create something. And if you can avoid it, don't use AI. But if you're just looking to save some time in those specific aspects I mentioned, go for it. AI is just a tool. It's a robot brush. Use that robot brush sparingly. It doesn't do a good job. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.